1, 2, 3.
Should be about enough. We're streaming. We're live.
We are.
Hi, everyone.
To both. Okay.
To both, yes. We're streaming live to Twitch. We're streaming live to YouTube. Thanks for being here. This is Awesome Hardware. It's a live show about technology and computers and that kind of thing. We do it every Tuesday evening at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time.
It's true.
We stream to twitch.tv/Awesome Hardware. We stream to my channel, Paul's Hardware, and then on the second half of the show, which will start in about an hour, we'll stream to Kyle's channel, Bitwit. If you're watching live, thanks for being here with us. We drink some beer. Occasionally, we say a swear word, so sorry if we do that. And yeah, we generally have a vague idea of what we're talking about when it comes to that technology. So I think we have a good show planned for today. On my half of the show, we're going to talk about some AMD news, both from the VEGA side of things as well as EPYC, because AMD did have an EPYC event today for EPYC. It was epic.
I didn't see it.
You didn't?
I epically missed it.
You only could have seen it if you were there in person.
Oh, it wasn't streamed or anything like that?
No. It was a server event, so yeah. On Kyle's half of the show, we'll talk a little bit more about the recent X299 launch, just happened yesterday, as well as other interesting things.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll also do a Pimp My PC. So thanks for being here, guys, and cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to all y'all.
Cheers to needing more beer already at the start of the show.
Also, quick shout out at the top of the show to Cell, our moderator, who is in chat.
Cell processing.
If you're watching the show live and you happen to purchase something, we'll give you a shout out at the end of the show. If you want to purchase something, check out our stores. Mine is paulshardware.net. Have some shirts, ends, mugs, pint glasses, polo shirts, all very high quality stuff, and it'll be shipped straight to you. Ships internationally. Kyle also has a store. bitwit.tech/store is where you can find his merch. So buy some of that stuff. If you happen to buy from both of our stores, it'll get shipped together in the same package, and you'll get a shipping refund. And right now, our guy who does all the stuff, John, who's awesome. Hi, John, if you're watching. He's working on a different configuration for the shipping to reduce the price a little bit more. Because shipping costs are expensive.
He's going to make all of our merchandise free.
What?
That's what he's doing.
He's maybe doing that on your half of the store.
All of our stuff, no, yours too. He told me. He's like, everything's going to be free. I'm just going to give it away.
Good. All right, let's dive
cool with that.
right into it. 5 minutes or so into the start of the show.
That was a very efficient intro.
It was?
Well done.
Did I forget anything? I feel like I usually say something else, but
we didn't say what kind of beer we were drinking.
Oh, what beer are we drinking?
But I'm drinking a Fat Tire.
I'm drinking Red Velvet. These are left over from last week.
Yep. And then we've got more different beers on the way. Actually, I feel like we'll probably be ready for that soon.
You're saying once Paul finishes his beer, if he stops drinking
the slower one of us is done finishing their stupid beer.
That sounds like a challenge, Kyle.
Yeah, it is, Paul.
I'm drink this beer.
Accept it. Accept the challenge. Ha! Little did you know, I poisoned it. You only have 30 seconds to live. Say your last words now.
Is this for the ritual that happens every year?
Yes.
The summer solstice?
Yes, the summer solstice, which just so happens to coincide with the 109th episode of Awesome Hardware.
God.
On every 109th episode.
This will bring about the coming of the...
There must be a sacrifice.
Of the revolution of the PCI Express lanes. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to tie things in with the show. That's the idea. All right. First...
It comes full circle.
Yeah.
With that statement.
All right, tech of the day after tomorrow. This is all technology that's not available yet, but will be available soon. I feel like our first contestant, which is AMD VEGA, should be available by now, but it's not. It keeps seemingly being delayed, but we're still expecting it by the end of this month, or maybe the beginning of next month, or maybe a little bit later than that. But according to this rumor, which originated on hardwarebattle.com, which is a Chinese website, that they might be available from... these are the actual consumer GPUs, by the way, by late July or early August. So not quite the first half that we were originally promised from AMD, but we'll have to let that slide. According to the article... The reason for this is due to the difficulty with manufacturing HBM2, which is the memory that VEGA uses. that seems like a reasonable explanation. But if this is true, what the rumor is based on AMD actually shipping boards to add-in board partners, so that the third-party manufacturers who make the actual GPU graphics cards that AMD for the GPUs that AMD Radeon makes. There's 2 VEGA GPUs, the VEGA 10 XT, that has 64 compute units, 4096 stream processors, and 16 gigs of HBM2 memory. And then there's the VEGA 10 Pro, which is cut down a little bit to 56 compute units, 3584 stream processors, 8 gigs of HBM2. So half the HBM.
So do we know yet if VEGA 10 XT is the one that's going to compete with like the 1080 Ti or the GTX 1080?
That's all rumor and speculation at this point. What the hell's going on?
Sorry, it's a stupid alarm.
Is it Christmas? I hear bells ringing. It's all rumor and speculation at this point. There's been vague stuff that's popped out here and there.
VEGA stuff?
VEGA.
I see what you did there.
See?
You keep it up, you dog.
Can't slip anything past you, can I?
Nope.
That was completely unintentional. But yeah, there's like the speculation has been that it sits between a 1070 and a 1080, or like between a 1070 and a 1080, or between a 1080 and a 1080 Ti.
Mm-hmm.
But time has been like passing, you know, and it kind of sucks that it's not out yet.
Yeah.
So if HBM2 really is the issue here, then hopefully they'll be able to produce enough. And of course, the enterprise variants that are made for GPU compute stuff, those just launched, but they are very expensive. They're $1,200 and up.
And those are featuring HBM2, right?
Yeah, those are based on the same GPUs, the same architecture. They're just designed for use in the workstation.
Which means they're useless to us.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, that's typically how that works with workstation cards. They don't really function very much for actually playing video games in a gaming system. The article also said that non-reference designs will be allowed shortly after launch, so hopefully that's at least something that we can look forward to. If there is a delay in their originally intended launch, then maybe that does give the third partner add-in board manufacturers time to design specialty GPU designs, custom PCB solutions.
Although it won't matter.
The
it won't matter
cards.
if there are only like 20 units available worldwide.
Yes.
Because of shitty HBM2 yields.
Yeah, or because of Ethereum mining. Actually, I don't think I don't think either of us have this on our list today. We talked about this a little bit last week, but hell, we'll do a brief segue into that. Ethereum mining, cryptocurrency mining. Ethereum is the big one right now, but there's a couple others that have also been kind of going off recently. These are the ones that are kind of ASIC proof, like the ASICs that have been designed that kind of took the wind out of the sails for mining for Bitcoin with something like a GPU. These other cryptocurrencies, you can't use those ASIC solutions to mine them, so it's gone back to GPUs being useful. AMD cards are sold out everywhere. Like you can't find them, or they're marked up $100 or more. NVIDIA cards are now also starting to be sold out everywhere, and there was an article, I think it was a Tech Power Up article or a PC Gamer article earlier today, saying that basically, like right now, if you look for a GTX 1070, which is supposed to be about $380 retail, can't find anything for less than about $450.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Which no one should buy it for, because apparently this hasn't quite crept up to hitting the 1080s yet, but you can still get a 1080 for $500 to $550.
Right.
But anything in that range or lower is just sold out or ridiculously overpriced.
So why haven't the prices for GTX 1080s gone up?
It's just that it's more efficient to buy to get more of the lesser cards and wire them all up together. So the 1080s apparently haven't been hit. And you know, the NVIDIA mining isn't as efficient as the AMD mining as it has been on AMD GPUs as well, which is why it took some time. But apparently it is still profitable enough. There's such a bubble right now with the value of this currency that it's affecting NVIDIA cards as well. So
Ethereum is that just like a Bitcoin alternative? It's just a different cryptocurrency?
It's a different cryptocurrency, yes. And there's some technical background to it that I don't know enough about to speak on, but
is it worth more than Bitcoin right now?
No, I think last I saw it was like $400. Just look Ethereum price right now. Just Google it. We can find it out. But it really sucks for anyone who wants to build a gaming PC. Like literally, it is impossible to build a budget gaming PC right now because the prices of the GPUs are so ridiculously inflated.
$351.
$351. Okay, so I think that might actually. I feel like it was $400 last week, but
It goes up and down.
Oh yeah, so it did peak at about
Spiking.
400, and it's dipped a
Last
bit
week.
because I think this has gained so much popularity. There's a ton of people actually doing the mining right now. But anyway, brief segue there. It really sucks if you're looking for a GPU right now, especially if you're looking for anything that costs less than $500. And
Brutal.
yeah,
I took an Uber into downtown LA not too long ago, and our Uber driver, who's super nice, handed me like a card at the end of it. And he's like, "Hey, if you ever want to get involved," because I was telling him I'm like sort of into tech and whatnot. And he was a part of like a Bitcoin mining group,
yeah,
like a global, worldwide
Consortium.
Bitcoin mining group. And he handed me his card, and I was like, "Whoa, well, I didn't even. Well, thank you. I might look into this because I definitely know I can't afford the electric bill at home. But if I was part of a big group who would do it all for me, I honestly don't know how it works. Like as far as like if you're a part of a big group, like who does the mining?
I think I don't know. I don't know how it works there as
Yeah.
far as what effort is put in, or because I mean it's pretty easy to quantify how much work has been put in by like your bank of computers that you have mining or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure how it works with the groups or that kind of thing. I wish I had solar. I don't have solar right now. I've been looking into solar options. If I had solar right now, I would be mining at home. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I have a couple 580s. I have one or two 570s. I mean, I have quite a few
ton of
graphics
AMD cards too.
Yeah, I have quite a few graphics cards at home. But like in California, it's basically like the money I made from mining would pay for my electrical bill, and it would even out, and I'd just be wasting electricity.
What if
like,
we mined at your house and I contributed like half of your electric bill and we split the profits?
It doesn't matter. The more GPUs we mine with, the more the electricity bill will go up, and eventually we'll also hit a
There's got to be a way, Paul. There's
Eventu-
got to be a way to make this work.
Well,
I can't do YouTube forever.
Eventually, we'll also hit a cutoff where like the power, like my main electrical box won't have enough, like won't be able to feed.
Edison will be over every other
system's
week.
running off of it. Yeah.
What the hell are you doing over here? Your box.
We're switching to AleSmith Speedway Stout right now, by the way, which is an absolutely amazing stout.
It's one of my favorite beers of all time.
It's a little
a coffee
expensive,
stout.
but it's worth it.
It's 12%, so
You gotta lick those drips
this
off
is
the
this
side.
is like 4 Bud Lights right here. And it's a fantastic beer that I just recently discovered that it comes in pints. Before, the only other size I've seen it in is like a big ass, like what I drank on teaching my wife to how to build a PC while I'm drunk.
Yeah.
I drank one whole bottle of those and it was like a fifth.
No, this is awesome.
That was the only capacity I ever found it in.
Comes in
Until now.
pints.
It comes in pints, which is
I'm getting one.
it's super dangerous.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I like how we're drinking out of each other's glasses.
Yeah, it must be nice to be able to pour your entire beer.
Yep.
And
Hey, fuck you.
What?
Fuck you, guy.
All right, your new ones are bigger.
Yeah, you're right. They are bigger than yours. No, the same size.
Okay.
We should compare.
We can do it. We can
Compare
do
the
it side by
size
side.
of our glasses side by side.
All right. Next up, Volta. Since we talked a little bit about AMD having issues getting Vega onto the market due to HBM2 yields, NVIDIA has actually had high-end graphics cards available for the past, I don't know, I want to say cycle. I'll leave it at that vague term. And this article from Guru of 3D suggests that is because NVIDIA has not set their sights on HBM2, which AMD kind of has. They've said ever since Fiji, like, our hand cards have HBM memory, which, is cool and everything, but also if you go for the past, year or so, AMD has had no answer to NVIDIA when it comes to their high-end GTX 1080 and 1080 Ti graphics cards. They just don't really compete up in that area. So when it comes to the next generation for NVIDIA, those are going to be based on GPU architecture code named Volta, and it's supposedly, again, this is a rumor, this is future news, that they're going to have a GDDR5X option for that. In fact, according to this article, most of the GPUs in this lineup will be based on either GDDR5X or GDDR6. This article's from Guru 3D, but the source is from Fudzilla, based on what they call well-informed sources. Which is,
Seems legit.
We trust them. We totally trust them. There's a small chart here, which I'll try to make... Wait, where did it go? It won't let me do... Oh, it just...
What if by
That's
well-informed
really weird.
sources they're talking about WCCF Tech?
I don't know. The chart is I hope not. The chart is comparing GDDR5X to GDDR6, so it doesn't matter that much. Anyway, NVIDIA will be using HBM2 with the GV100 GPU, which, according to their code names, would be GeForce Volta 100, which is usually the largest chip when it comes to what's available. But that's probably, just like this generation with Pascal, going to be limited to their highest-end cards in the enterprise range with their Teslas. With their
Titan?
Not Tesla. Quadro. Their Quadro stuff.
Oh, Quadro.
So yeah. There's that. GDDR6 is coming in 2018, though, so that should be the new hotness. Hopefully another option as well, compared to HBM, since it seems like it's really hard to produce HBM2 memory. That just seems to be the situation right now. Okay, let's talk about EPYC. Let's have an EPYC discussion about EPYC.
So many puns.
Here's an article from PC Perspective. There's several good articles out there. I was also following along a little bit earlier today with Anantech, as Dr. Cuttress was doing a bit of live blogging of this event. But AMD is having an event for EPYC. It went on today, and there was a presentation. And this is server stuff, so perhaps not quite as interesting to you if you are more of a PC enthusiast in the at-home space. However, this has sort of echoes that reverberate and affect Threadripper, because Threadripper is kind of based on the same stuff that this is all based on. So AMD is trying to get back into the server space. They basically aren't there at all. Over the past 6 years, their share there has deteriorated. They used to have like a 20% to 25% share in the server space back when they had their Opteron lineup for servers. But yeah, you guys all probably know the story of the past 6-7 years for AMD, but they're back now with their Zen architecture. They've implemented it on the desktop side with Ryzen. Now they're implementing it with a server-side solution. This is called EPYC. They're actually going for sale today, and AMD had a bunch of representatives from a bunch of high-end, like well-known companies that were there at the event with them that do enterprise stuff. Like, I don't remember any of them though. Cause
it means they're not important.
I'm basically having a
Not
brain
important.
fart right now. I was gonna rattle off a couple, but who was there?
You all know.
I had examples. Here.
You know who you are.
Visual Studio, VMware,
KBM.
Citrix. These are operating systems. What I'm talking about. Industry stuff.
Inventec.
Supermicro. These are hardware partners. Never mind. Who cares? Let's just talk about the hardware. We'll stick to that.
I don't think we have a slide for that.
EPYC
Paul.
7000.
EPYC. I like how much fun they're having with their branding, right? Threadripper, EPYC. They're getting.
Yeah.
They're having a good time with
I mean,
it.
you gotta sell it, right?
Sort of
you gotta
diversify.
You gotta spice it up. It's a processor. All right, so EPYC is gonna have up to 32 cores and 64 threads per CPU. And this is a server platform, which means you can have either 1 or 2 sockets. And there's different configurations for that, which I'll go into in just a moment. 8 DDR4 memory channels, up to 8 DDR4 memory channels. Each individual CPU is quad channel. Up to 2 terabytes of memory capacity per CPU, which means 4 terabytes in 2 slot configurations. And 128 freaking PCI Express lanes.
Take that, KBLX.
128. Take that, Xeon. I mean, this is a Xeon competitor. Remember that.
I know.
So yeah,
fun.
I mean, Kaby Lake X too. Sure, why not? But yeah. So here's the chart. I'm gonna open this because
What's the max you can get on Xeon right now? Half that?
core counts 22 or 24.
Or PCIe lanes.
PCIe lanes, I'm not sure, but I think it might be 64. So here's the entire product stack. And you can see they're listed on the left. It goes from the lowest end on the bottom, which is an 8-core, 16-thread part, all the way up to the EPYC 7500 and 7600 series at the top, which are 32-core, 64-thread. Look at the top end chip, the 7601. It boosts up to 3.2 gigahertz on 32 cores. I don't know how many cores it'll do that on at the same time. It has 180 watt TDP, which is, I don't know, that's insane.
So you're going to need a liquid
crazy.
cooled server build for EPYC.
No, I'm saying 180
On the high
watts
end.
for that many cores is very, very low.
Oh, sure.
And you would, I mean, I'm sure there'll be crazy people who do liquid cooled servers or something like that with this sort of thing. But usually in the enterprise space, liquid cooling is the last thing you would ever want to do.
Right.
Especially since you can.
And these are all locked, right? They're not gonna.
Yeah, there's no overclocking or anything like that. These are server chips. There's immediate availability, I should say, for the top 5 CPUs in this stack. So the 32 core and the 24 core ones. And then there will be upcoming, it says by the end of July, due before the end of July for these lower ones. So if you notice, the lower ones here are the 8 core and 16 core ones, and 16 cores and 32 threads is what Threadripper is supposed to have.
Mm-hmm.
And this is supposed to be available at the end of July.
EPYC?
EPYC is.
Uh-huh.
The rest of these. The top ones here are already available. Again, probably not exactly going to be launched at the same time since they're server parts and consumer parts, but again, Threadripper is probably is basically derived from this. Now, just to go over real quickly some of the more specifics for how they've configured stuff in here, because how do you get from 8 cores like we have with a Ryzen 1800X or something like that up to 32 cores? These are actually multi-die CPUs. So let me go to the next page.
Dual die.
Yeah, so each CPU, as you can see on this in this picture here, has 4 actual dies on it. So each of these dies would be roughly equivalent, not the same exact thing, but a rough equivalent to an 8-core, 16-thread Ryzen die. So 8, 16, 24, 32. I'm doing addition here. So all of them together on a fully enabled chip, that's what you get. And then they have different layers of Infinity Fabric, because they're using the term Infinity Fabric to refer to not just the link between the different CCX units within each die, but also the link between each die on the CPU on something like a multi-die Threadripper or EPYC CPU. And that's how they connect together. And the Infinity Fabric links between the cores offer 42 gigabytes per second of bidirectional bandwidth at extremely low power. Ryan Strout, who wrote the article on this on PC Perspective, and there's a lot more detail on the article, which is linked in the description if you guys want to check it out. One of his big concerns about this platform is latency, and latency between the different cores, but they've developed this in such a way that there's either only a single step or as many as 2 steps in a 2 CPU configuration between going from one core to the other. So each EPYC CPU, I'm using the wrong mouse, each EPYC CPU, I'm also now in the wrong story. Okay.
Get with it.
Each EPYC CPU has 8 PCI Express by 16 links. So 8 times 16, that's what gives you 128 total lanes of PCI Express bandwidth. But it's interesting how they're configured. Now, when I say there's multiple dies per package, I want to have an image up here so you can see. So we can see, when you see there's multiple dies per package, they need to be able to communicate with each other when they're put in a 2 CPU configuration. So each die has 2 of the PCI Express by 16 links. So basically 32 PCIe lanes per die, with split into 2, 8 each. So that's why when you have a single one of these CPUs, 4 of these dies, each with 16.
Get the words out.
Damn it.
It's kind of confusing.
So I wrote this all down. Each with 8 PCIe by 16 links, split 2 per die, gives you 128. I'm really doing a poor job of explaining this.
That's okay.
In my head, it
we're
worked
with
out. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 4, 6, and 8. 8 times 16 gives you 128, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'd think if you put 2 of these CPUs together, you should have 128 plus 128. You should have 256 PCI Express 3.0 lanes.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how it works. But it's kind of cool how it works, because when you plug in 2 to the same one, since each die has 2 by 8 PCI Express connections, one of those by 8 PCI Express connections connects directly to the other chip.
Mm.
So that's why when you put 2 of these together, you still have 128 PCI Express 3.0 lanes.
I see.
I hope that makes sense to you guys. I've kind of figured it out reading the article. Again, read the article if it doesn't make sense. Ryan does a better job of explaining it than I do. But again, that's
so it's not necessarily that they pool their PCI lanes, but one die shares its lanes or bridges its lanes to another.
All four dies.
All 4 dies, yeah.
Because each die has 2 by 8 connections.
Yeah.
No, each die has 2 by 16 connections. 16 and 16.
2 by 16. Okay. Yeah, that's 32 times 4. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, 8 total per CPU.
Yeah.
2 per die.
Right.
And each one of those has 16 PCIe lanes.
Right.
So when you connect 2 of them together for each die, one of them is still available as your connection for your 16 PCIe lanes. One of them directly connects to the other CPU, and that's how they talk back and forth, and it becomes the Infinity Fabric link between them.
I see.
Which incidentally has 32 gigabytes per second of bandwidth, which means you get the total of 256 gigabytes per second of bandwidth of PCIe 3.0 bandwidth per socket.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's lots of connectivity. So again, no one I think here is trying to say, AMD wasn't trying to say or anything, that they suddenly have an instructions per clock lead over Intel. But according to the pricing that they're talking about with this stuff, they're pretty much decimating the Xeon lineups that Intel has going on right now when it comes to price to theoretical performance. Again, that's theoretical because these are launching today, and I'm sure there'll be more tests on it and everything. However, again, the article has some of the benchmarks that they were showing, which were all pretty impressive, especially if you follow enterprise stuff, which I do only vaguely, which is why I'm not going into more detail here.
Yeah.
But there it is. Check it out. EPYC seems pretty badass.
Hopefully
also,
Threadripper is going to launch right around the same time then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So it's cool to hear more stuff about EPYC again because it trickles down to Threadripper. And it's also cool to see AMD coming back into it with another potential way to claw their way back into a market that they haven't been a part of for quite some time. Because that helps them as a company as a whole. And theoretically, then that might help them continue to be a good competitor to Intel. Because see what that has done just in the past 6 months. If not the past 1 month, I guess. I don't know. All right. Let's move on to the next segment. Next segment is going to be Tales from Space.
Tales from space.
Delicious.
That's my space music
Good.
intro.
That was good. Until we get a soundboard.
Or haunted house sound. It's
totally
kind of synonymous.
Yeah.
You can go either way.
Both of that works. All right, NASA, right? They do space stuff. They have found 10 new rocky Earth-like planets.
Whoa.
Rocky.
Rocky
meaning they're like rocky road.
They're kind of difficult.
Yes.
Difficult to navigate. It's kind of sketchy.
Yeah, I was thinking Rocky like Rocky Balboa for some reason, but that makes less sense. I'm gonna play this video. I have no idea what this video is.
They've all been named Rocky.
It's a visual. Yeah.
We named the first planet Rocky 1, and then we named the second planet Rocky 2.
And then the 5th planet was destroyed by the Russians for some reason, and yeah.
Goddamn Russians.
Okay, we don't need to show this. They discovered planets. There's quite a few of them actually. 218 suspected planets, because that's what the Kepler Space Telescope does. It looks and finds suspect potential exoplanets, planets outside of our solar system, and then scientists are able to go and focus other telescopes on those and actually verify and discover whether or not they're actually there. Of the 219 new suspected planets, there's 10 that they say are rocky and in the Goldilocks zone. The Goldilocks zone being the space from whatever particular star you're talking about, where it's not too hot and it's not too cold,
but it's just right,
so that liquid water can form.
Okay.
And that distance varies depending on the size and heat output of the star.
What do they mean by rocky when they say rocky? Does that just mean
rocky means like
water?
It's not a gas planet. Because
okay.
We got our Jupiter, and our Saturn out there sucking up asteroids, keeping them from coming in here and destroying Earth.
Right.
Those would be, there's lots of those out in the universe, but or in the galaxy even, but we can't exactly land on them and build a colony or something like that. So rocky meaning there's a much higher chance that there's land there, potentially an atmosphere,
I see.
Potentially even liquid water, potentially life. Yes, exactly.
Cool.
If you're wondering, the total number of suspected exoplanets that's found by Kepler so far is now over 4,000. 4,034 total suspected exoplanets, and 2,335 of those have been verified.
5,000 short.
Verified.
5,000 short of being over 9,000.
Yep. Getting there.
Getting there.
Next up,
Next.
I tweeted about this earlier this week.
I see the word probe. Probe Uranus.
NASA wants to probe Uranus
In search of...
gas. Got a lot of retweets on this one for some reason. Can't figure out why.
Good.
The article starts, NASA is currently spitballing some missions that will give us the best look at Uranus that we've ever gotten. Pretty exciting.
I'll hold you to that.
Yeah. These are theoretical missions that they're being discussed. These are NASA spacecraft that would be sent not just to Uranus, but also to Neptune. See, I thought I was going to continue with the puns, but I'm actually talking about space. Okay. The missions would go there to determine what the planets are made of, or determine more specifically. We have a vague idea based on, spectrometry and stuff like that. That's not the. I'm not going to try.
Spectrometry. Sounds like a fancy word.
Thing where you look at the colors and you can see the colors and tell what's there. I'm not good at science.
Rainbows.
The light
Color wheel.
I can't even go into this right now because I need to look at it, and I hate talking about things that I don't have like a full grasp of. So let's move on. Anyway, this would include both flybys as well as an orbiter. So the orbiter would be sent in. The orbiter would send an atmospheric probe to Uranus to sample its gases and detect elements.
Sounds invasive.
So yes, they'd probe Uranus, and we would all benefit. That's really what it comes down to.
Uranus being probed.
The timeline for the Uranus trip, just so you guys can be prepared, is 2030 through 2036. Hopefully they'll narrow that down at some points. The Neptune mission that's discussed would need to take place before 2030 or after 2040. So it's either like we're going to see it when we're in our prime, like right now, like we will continue to be for clearly quite a few years, or after 2040 and we'll be old, decrepit. But hopefully by then there'll be some sort of technology that makes us young again.
What about as far as timeline, like how long will the probe be in Uranus?
Well, the probe, I mean, I'm sure it depends on how easily attainable the gas is. But I imagine there is a time limit there. There's only so much time that can be spent in Uranus.
Is it possible to make Uranus expel gas more quickly, or is it just kind of subject to just?
I mean, I'm sure that'd be possible, but as scientists, I feel like that's something that they'd want to avoid. They want Uranus to be explored naturally and comfortably, without any messing about. Let's say. You don't want that kind of thing going on with Uranus.
That's true. What if Uranus has diarrhea or something?
You should stop. Stop. We should really stop. Just to clarify that.
What happens if a little bit more than gas comes out while we're probing Uranus?
Well, it's mysterious.
Do you think it's possible that Uranus might shoot out a little bit more than just gas, and we might all be way in over our heads?
That's totally possible.
Okay.
That's the nature of space exploration.
As long as we know the risks involved.
We should always be aware of that.
Yeah.
Okay, this one I'm going to try to burn through quickly because there's lots of notes and it's a little crazy. By the way, I need to finish that Neptune mission I was talking about. The reason it needs to be before 2030 or after 2040 is due to the timing of the gravity-assisted boost that it would need to get around to Jupiter, which we've all seen in the movies. It's like, you got your gravity slingshot, and then it's like, but it's very beautiful and all that kind of stuff. That's how it usually is. All right. Asgardia, the world's first space nation. Do you want to become a citizen, Kyle?
Perhaps
where? You should. A citizen of Asgardia. That's a picture of SpaceX.
I support any place that guards my ass.
That's a good idea. We're continuing the puns.
Especially after that last story.
Asgardia is named after a Norse mythological city in the skies. It is basically a space nation that is open for to be joined by all the residents of Earth. It costs nothing to join. let's scroll down to this dude right here. Costs nothing to join. This is Russian scientist Dr. Igor Ashurbeli. Ashurbeli? Ashurbeli. Yes. He originally announced these plans to form the world's first independent nation in space in October of 2016. They were deluged with people signing up. They had 100,000 people in 40 hours. They had 500,000 in 3 weeks. And then they were like, hey, we should add some like actual verification that these are actually people. And then they did that. And now it's at 211,000.
So you said it's a space nation, right?
Yes, a space nation.
It's like the movie Elysium with Matt Damon, where there's just a big ass like ship floating in space. And it's a whole civilization that lives in space.
Yeah, those are the
because Earth is all fucked and we screwed it up. And
yeah, those are the ramifications we're gonna get into discussing here. But first, let's clarify some of the details of Asgardia, because I'm sure there's lots of people who are watching who might want to join. And like I said, anyone can join, and it's free. So if you want to get into space, this is probably something associated with that.
Would you do
all
it?
right. Their mission is to provide a peaceful society, to offer easier access to space technology, to protect Earth from space threats, and to protect Earth from space threats such as asteroids and man-made debris.
How does it? Okay, go ahead.
Why are you cutting me off?
I thought you were. I saw a stopping point. Do
that one more time. I'm going to leave, and I'm going to go live in Asgardia in space. Okay. So far, the sign-up.
All right.
I may have second thoughts about that, though, because so far the signups are 83% male and 16% female.
Boo!
That doesn't add up to 100. The rest said other. Asgardia will establish a physical presence in space, so it's not just a pipe dream, via a series of satellites. The first of which, the Asgardia 1, will be launched into orbit around Earth on September 12th, 2017. This is actually going to happen. It's going to travel via Orbital ATK's mission to the International Space Station and will be released from American Aerospace, or from the aerospace firm's ship once it docks with the International Space Station. This is not a full-size satellite; it's a nanosat. A nanosatellite. It's about the size of a loaf of bread. It weighs 6 pounds. Holds 300 kilobytes of data per person. So the first 100,000 people who signed up for to be citizens of Asgardia are able to upload their data. They basically have 300 kilobytes of data per person, and they can put stuff like pictures and that kind of thing. So short-term, I guess, idea here is now you have something in space, and if the world has thermonuclear war or something, at least your pictures are still in space, so you can still access them on Pinterest or whatever. I don't think it's internet accessible. But 300 kilobytes of data per person for the first 100,000 citizens, 200 kilobytes for the next 400,000 people, and then 100 kilobytes for the next people, leading up to 1 million citizens. I don't know if they're still going to have citizens after 1 million, but theoretically, again, they're going to be launching more of these satellites. Family photos, whatever, personal stuff is what you can do there. Now, what they're planning on doing long-term is actually making habitable... I think that's the nano satellite right there. They're planning on actually making habitable platforms in near Earth, low Earth orbit. Yes. I don't know if this is one of them. Maybe it is. There more pictures up here of space platforms. Sure there is. We'll stick with this one. Anyway, they're gonna establish. They're gonna create habitable platforms in low Earth orbit. That's the first 100 to 200 miles, or 161 to 321 kilometers from space. That's where the ISS is located right now. So they have plans to actually start making platforms so people can actually move up to space, is the general idea here. This Russian dude, Ashurbeli, is a 53-year-old rocket scientist. He's supposedly a billionaire, although because of what he has done through his dealings in Russia, it's not exactly evident. Like, I don't think it's known how much money he has or whatever. But it says he's single-handedly bankrolling this project, which is kind of crazy.
Damn.
So yeah, I guess I just thought you guys should know about this when it comes to Tales from Space. They want to become a legitimate country. They're going to apply for UN recognition as a nation in 2018. The state has to have a permanent population, a defined territory, a government, and the capacity to enter in relations with other states. So I think it actually does have to have, they're going to need to get some of their platforms up and running. But yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
They will form a democratic government in the next 6 months, and then a court, prosecutor's office, national audit office, and other government bodies. They might have dual citizenship options. Anyway, again, the article's linked in the description if you guys want to read a little bit more on that. Let's move on, though.
Sweet.
Time for sword fight.
All right. What are we arguing?
Okay. A brief discussion about X299 since it just launched, and let's check out this article from Hexus, which is that motherboard manufacturers would like you to buy their motherboards, and therefore they have tantalizing offers for you. Oh yes, tantalizing offers.
Bullshit. Super
tantalizing. So, for instance, Asus, and this promo is for the EU, by the way, since we do have an international audience. Well, Hexus is actually, European. UK. Yeah, UK or whatever. But anyway, Asus promotion in the EU, you get a game. You get 2 games. What do you get? Where did it say that? A range of AAA titles.
Your choice down there. It's a big list.
Yeah, there's one that you get like by default though.
Oh.
Games Planet. Oh, you get Dawn of War 3.
Dawn of War.
So you get Dawn of War 3, and then you get to choose one of these AAA titles: Shadow of War, Vampire, Total War, Warhammer 2, Assassin's Creed Origins, Far Cry 5, Dirt 4, Elex, Agent of Mayhem, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Prey, The Surge, Project Cars 2,
What is STD edition?
Standard edition.
What an unfortunate acronym.
Yeah, sexually transmitted diseases. Morrowind, Tekken 7, or Spellforce 3. So buy an Asus board, get a couple free games. MSI and Newegg have an offer. This is for the US side. If you get an MSI motherboard, you get a Corsair Hydro Series H75 liquid cooler for free. That's a $75 value.
Heyo.
Gigabyte has the Experience Pack, because everything's X-rated at Gigabyte. That's their new code.
Sexy.
Their new. The Experience Pack is a bundle that you get with the Aorus motherboards that are for sale. Qualifying buyers will receive an Aorus hoodie, a 1-year subscription to XSplit Gamecaster, LEDs from Cable Mod, a limited launch edition keyboard mousepad, and a pair of Sennheiser CX3.00 in-ear headphones. The accessories are chosen to highlight the motherboard's features. So what we're going to ask people in chat to answer, we're going to argue about here. This is a little bit different than typical. I feel like a typical sword fight here because there's multiple options. So what would get you guys? So if you guys have been skeptical about X299, which of these things is the thing where you're like, hey, I wasn't into it before, but now I am? We have the 3 options from the 3 motherboard manufacturers that we just discussed. We have this option down here, which is that, I was getting it no matter what. Doesn't matter. Or for those haters out there that I will never touch or do it. This is no. That's no basically at the bottom.
Yep.
I'm never going to do that. So what do you think, Kyle? Which of these do you think you could
I would go with the obvious choice, Paul, which is I would only build an X299 system if I also get a hoodie, an XSplit broadcaster subscription, LEDs, a mousepad, and some headphones.
I see.
Because that's the whole complete package. All right, that's definitely a nice value add there. All right, so XSplit subscription. We're using XSplit right now, aren't we?
That's true.
To host this stream.
That's true.
Hey, I had to pay money for that.
We're using Broadcaster, the subscriptions for Gamecaster. That's okay, they'll go on.
But hey, you know what? I stream games sometimes, once in a while. You do too, every now and then. Maybe we'll bring maybe this will be what brings back the after parties, Paul. Is getting an XSplit Gamecaster subscription.
Starting the guilt trip for that already.
For free. Yep, absolutely. And then what are you going to do? Just listen to the speakers? Listen to the game audio through your speakers? No, you're going to need some nice earbuds. Some quality earbuds to take advantage of the beautiful in-game sounds while you're gaming on an X290. They are Sennheisers. They're fairly high quality. I use Sennheiser microphones. We're using one right now for our stream, okay? It's racked up some street cred in my book. All right, so there's another good thing. And then what? LEDs? Yeah, who doesn't want LEDs? I mean, you've already got
and the cable mod. Their cable mod LEDs. They've sponsored you in the past. Clearly, you're providing an unbiased opinion.
Even if they hadn't sponsored me, I'd still recommend them because I mean, any LEDs really. Because I mean, you've got just a ton of LEDs on the motherboard already. What, are you just gonna not light up the rest of your case? How imbalanced is that gonna look?
CX300.
What?
There's a typo in that. I thought it was CX3.00, but it's just CX300 for the headphones.
Oh, yeah.
But they're $40 headphones, by the way.
Okay, but see, like, Sennheiser $40 headphones, and you're not allowed to research things while I'm arguing. That's bullshit.
Why not?
That's just a rule.
I'm not allowed
That's a rule that...
bring facts into this discussion.
It's a rule we made just now. So, $40 Sennheiser headphones are like $500, Skull Candy headphones anywhere else. So, and then what was the other thing? A hoodie, right? I don't know about you, Paul, but when I game, I like to keep it pretty chilly in my room. It's better for thermals. Keep the ambient low, keep the overclocks high, is what I always say. Anyone who knows me will tell you Kyle says that every time I see him.
It's his catchphrase, basically.
So, obviously, I want to be comfortable while I'm gaming. I need a friggin' hoodie. What better way to wear a hoodie that is also free advertising for the motherboard I happen to purchase?
His head in through. Keep the overclocks low. Keep the temperature low and overclocks
always
high.
Remember, guys. So, I think I knocked that argument out of the park. Let's see you try.
That's great. All right. I should briefly consider what I'm going to argue here. All right, I'm going to go for the Corsair Hydro Series, the H75, because I will spend... I don't want to exactly phrase it like this, but I think the option here should be the Corsair Hydro Series H75. Why? Because it is a practical solution. It is something that you will need, because you're buying an X Series CPU from Intel. These don't come with water coolers. These don't come with any kind of cooler. They need a cooler. So obviously, you're going to need a motherboard. So you're buying the motherboard, and then you just get the cooler for free. It's a $75 value. It's way more than the crappy headphones that Kyle was talking about just a second ago. Wow. And all that other stuff that you might get with that Gigabyte deal. I'm sure it's like passable quality, but it doesn't add up to the $75 and the quality of the Corsair Hydro Series components either. The H75. I mean, if you're gonna, we've already heard that the 7900X tends to run a little warm. You're gonna want to liquid cool that bad boy. So I think that's what you're gonna want to do. I would argue further, but I think I made my point, and we're low on time. So let's see what you guys have to say. Results. Wow.
Damn.
People hate.
That's staggering.
Just
oh my god.
Destruction. But hey, you did win though. Apart from the people who are just completely uninterested in X299. 15%. Hey, that's 50 people. That's 50 motherboard sales right there.
That's a lot of money.
We just made for Gigabyte. 22 motherboard sales we just made for MSI. I'm obviously assuming everyone who voted is gonna immediately go and make a purchase. We did have at least some people representing and just being like, you know what, I was gonna jump into this no matter what. There are the longtime Intel high-end desktop platform enthusiasts out there who are into it. I mean, hey, if you got the money, the high-end CPUs are really fast.
Yeah.
And until we can test Threadripper,
it's the best we got for now.
Yeah, the best we got for now. So there we go. All right, let's move into tech news discussion. Again, we got some stories here we're going to discuss, but we'll try to burn through it quickly. I'm going to start off with a quick reminder, an update on net neutrality, which is currently in peril in the United States. I'm trying to at least give you guys a quick reminder of this every day. Right now, the FCC has an open forum where you can go and you can make comments. Who knows if they're going to listen to those comments? Maybe they'll ignore us. But Netflix, for their part, we thought Netflix had abandoned us. The CEO of Netflix basically said, for everything we've done for net neutrality and being a proponent for it and everything, and being sort of the test case for it, because Netflix being throttled was one of the very specific things you could point at and be like, hey, internet service providers are mishandling their responsibilities as internet service providers, and they're throttling stuff. simply because they don't want to provide the bandwidth that people have paid for, which is something stupid that internet service providers do. Netflix CEO basically was like, you know what? At this point, we're big enough, we can just buy our way out of it. So we don't care quite as much as about net neutrality anymore, which kind of sucked. People were disappointed. But they did jump in recently and at least tweeted and said they will never outgrow the fight for net neutrality. And they tweeted out something from Battle for the Net, which is one of the grassroots organizations that's been pushing for awareness about net neutrality and everything. So on July 12th, there's an internet-wide day of action to save net neutrality. Hopefully you guys will at least be aware of this, maybe be knowledgeable about it so you can explain it to people. There's an insane number of large internet-based organizations that are participating in this, not least of which is Pornhub right there. GitHub, Kickstarter, Netflix is now involved, Fight for the Future, of course, Amazon, Reddit. I mean, like, all
Huge.
of the sites that you go to, I mean, probably not all the sites you go to, but a lot of the sites that you go to.
Pornhub.
Pornhub. Come on.
Pornhub.
Is Xvideos in here? Or probably not. I
No,
don't
Red.
know. They should jump in here too, though.
Yep.
The point is, there's a ton of internet-based organizations who are doing this basically because they all agree that internet traffic should all be treated equally. And from point A to point B, it should go from point A to point B. You can pay your provider for a certain amount of bandwidth, and after that, they should leave their hands off of your data. Right now, the net neutrality rules that are in place that went into effect in 2015 are under scrutiny. They're potentially going to be rolled back by the current FCC, and that would suck. And a lot of people agree on that. Again, after all of the feedback people give, and after all of the protests that go on and that kind of thing, they might still do it, and that will suck. But at least people have tried to make their voice heard, and keep that in mind for when it comes time for the voting public to make something happen the next time around. Speaking of, by the way, if you weren't sure what is happening on July 12th on the internet-wide day of action to save net neutrality, you're going to see websites that display images that basically give people a vague idea of what might happen if net neutrality rules go away, and if internet service providers are able to throttle or limit bandwidth or limit accessibility to certain websites because they don't have a deal set up with them where the website's paying them money or something like that.
So do you think everyone's just gonna like self-sabotage their own sites and make them run slow? So like this is what you're looking at if we don't take action.
It's something like a blackout or a boycott. I mean, it's up to different websites to treat it however they can. Some websites will just show a message to spread knowledge. Other websites will actually be blocking their content, and people who go there will not be able to access the stuff that they were able to access before.
See, this is why I download all my porn.
Well, I mean, having something saved locally, is important. But yeah,
first-hand experience.
So the SOPA, if you guys remember, was legislation that was going through the United States government, and there was a blackout and an internet slowdown that they did to protest that. So these are just ways of making it known. And again, there's lots of attempts to make this a political issue, and it really shouldn't be, because this is sort of a fundamental premise of how the internet was, what the internet was built upon, which was just the free sharing of information, the free sharing of data. And anyway, I've talked enough about that. Let's move on.
All right.
Chinese scientists have built the first quantum satellite network. This is actually pretty freaking badass. I was almost going to include this in Tales from Space, but the Chinese Academy of Sciences launched a satellite back in August. This satellite is capable of distributing quantum entangled photons between 3 different terrestrial base stations separated by as much as 1,200 kilometers on the ground.
What does that mean?
So, satellites up in space, it creates quantum entangled photons. It does this with a crystal that it uses to produce pairs of entangled photons. Quantum entangled photons, basically, if something happens to one of them, the same thing happens to the other of them. So no matter what distance they're separated by, it's potentially a means of instantaneous communication from one point to another with quantum entanglement, which is a physical property of quantum mechanics and everything, which again, I don't know enough about to give you too many details on. But the satellite, which is up in space, uses a crystal, creates a couple quantum entangled photons, distributes those, sends them down to base stations on Earth, and those base stations have been able to basically detect changes between those two photons up to a distance of 1,200 kilometers.
Wow.
They're transmitted up to a distance of 2,400 kilometers from the satellite down to those base stations. It is often very difficult to distribute photon pairs without disrupting the quantum entanglement, but if you can, the result is a communication channel that's effectively impossible to intercept. And again, it's also instantaneous regardless of the distance between the separated photons.
So will this eventually replace Snapchat for sending dick pics?
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
The simplest application right now is what cryptographers call a quantum key distribution network, using the network to securely distribute long and complex encryption keys, which are then impossible to be seen by anyone, or at least it's detectable if it is. So that's why some of the articles on this are saying that China has developed like a foolproof quantum entanglements encryption method that's completely unsurveillable. That is possible with the further proliferation of this technology and knowledge in this field, but at this point, this is just a step, like kind of a next step. It's a demonstration of something that hasn't been done before, and continued demonstration of quantum entanglement continuing to be a thing no matter how far apart the photons are, which again has been known in theory but very difficult to accomplish in practice. That's pretty cool. Beyond what's going on in China, there's also collaboration between the United Kingdom's University of Strathclyde and the National University of Singapore. They're also hoping to produce the same entanglement in cheap, ready-made satellites called CubeSats. So perhaps more practical use or more cheap or a less expensive way of setting up something like this. That's kind of cool. All right.
Science gains. Science gains are always fun.
MSI has announced the GeForce GTX 1080 Ti Lightning Z. Yeah. If here, there's a video. No, there's not. Oh wait, yeah, there is. Here, look at this
Lightning
video.
Z. I haven't seen a Lightning card from MSI in a while.
Well,
I feel like they had a dream about Lightning cards recently.
They had a 980 Ti Lightning.
Look, there's Linus's video.
It was
Core i9 review just being suggested to you.
Well, it's a very suggestive video.
That's true.
Here's MSI's video on the Lightning. Look at all that lightning going across there. It's a tri-frozer cooler design with Torx 2.0 fans. It's actually got 3 fans that are asymmetrical, so the 2 on the outside are 10 centimeters.
Wow, that looks like a Strix.
One in the middle is 9 centimeters. It does, from that angle, look
Wow.
similar to the Strix. If you notice that,
just
here,
just the corner, the edges, just that. Oh my
right
god!
But they do have. You can swap out those panels if you want and make them different colors, so they're not lights, but physically you can change them, or they, I guess, have some texture ones in there. There's an RGB accent lighting panel here along the edge that works with MSI's Mystic Light software. Ships with an LN2 BIOS version, I imagine, for actually record-breaking overclocking and that kind of thing with this graphics card. They're probably going to be using hacked VBIOSes that allow them to get past some of the voltage limitations that NVIDIA has put in place.
Is there a price for this
but
yet?
there you go.
A price?
You know what? I don't think it says.
They're just announcing it. Maybe not.
Is there a price? It's probably like $850. That's my guess.
Jesus, seriously?
I don't know.
You think?
Well, 1080 Ti is like 700, right?
850 though? I mean, it's not
a
even...
flagship. It's the best one they're gonna make.
Yeah, but seriously, $850?
I don't know. 800. I'm just throwing something out there.
More doable.
The power delivery on here is pretty insane. It's a 10-layer PCB and a 14-phase power delivery. You can see a lot of the chokes, caps, and MOSFETs right there. 14 phases for the GPU and 3 phases for the memory. So you can also tell like power delivery here is pretty crazy because it's got 3 8-pins PCI Express power connectors. The cooler on it is capable of 700 watts of heat dissipation, which is also crazy overkill. There's sort of an exploded view of the entire thing. It's crazy.
My goodness.
A high-end 1080 Ti, and we'll have to see if like
$150.
this is it's always like the toss-up. Like this GPU, the EVGA's
not the WindForce. That one, the ICX.
No, not the ICX. The Kingpin. The Kingpin.
Kingpin.
EVGA's Kingpin edition. What's Asus got at the highest end? They have their Poseidon card, but I don't think that's their crazy overclocking
That's more
one.
so water cooling.
They have their Strix card. I don't know if Asus has one in the works that's kind of similar to this one.
Mars.
Mars. Oh,
Mars?
those were AMD cards though.
Yeah, it's true.
It'd be cool to see them bring that back. Like if there's a dual Vega, like to see Asus do another Mars GPU
cool.
with dual Vega.
That would be Mars
super sweet.
4, right?
Yeah,
I guess
I'm
they
not sure
left
exactly.
off on 3.
But all right.
Mars.
One more quick story to talk about before we switch over to Kyle's half of the show. Atari. Look at this thing Atari did.
By the way, Chad is saying your beer is getting hot and flat, Paul.
I'm sorry, I've been talking. I'll be drinking more on
You
Kyle's
should
half.
multitask. Be a multi-core CPU, not a single-thread bitch.
Look at this Atari video.
Okay. Wait, Atari? They're
Yes.
still around? What are they doing?
The Atari box.
Oh, wait. Is this...
Atari's CEO has said that they are back in the hardware business.
What?
They have this teaser video here with not much to be seen.
That wasn't even... I hate teaser videos so much.
You can see like the sides of it. Look at that wood. Look at that wood grain.
So it's kind of got sort of a retro feel to
Yeah,
it still,
so
but it's
retro
all
feel.
digital. Well, I guess it's always been digital. But so what is this? A big cabinet? A giant cabinet with
No,
more
I
modern...
think it's something smaller. All right, so there's really very vague stuff known about this, but they say it's years in the making. It is based on PC technology. And the article, which is from Hexus.net again, speculates that this is a shot at the profitable retro games bandwagon that has been shown to be highly lucrative by Nintendo's NES Mini. Because the NES Mini, right, they launched, it's impossible to find. It's like 5 times the price on eBay for anyone who wanted to buy it. Sold out everywhere. They're like, this is limited edition. Screw anyone who wants this. And those of us who understood were like, why don't people just make an emulator or use an emulator?
Doesn't have the cool factor.
It doesn't have the cool factor. I understand. I mean, I say, practically speaking, get an emulator, play some old games if you want to. But I understand the nostalgic feel of something like this.
Emulators are also sort of in the gray area of legality.
Yeah.
So
well, if you owned the games, I consider it to be okay because you've purchased the games in the past.
But you look at the percentage of emulator users who actually own the games that they are emulating, and it's, I would imagine, probably pretty slim.
Well, that's why we have to establish strong moral codes so that people can police themselves.
I feel like companies like Nintendo should have emulator stores. Like they should sell the emulators themselves.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Certainly there's been lots of suggestions and possible ways that they could have monetized their previous existing IPs, but the NES Mini is one of those. But, you know, clearly they want to limit that because it's like, here's this and it plays this number of games and that's what you get.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like if you had some old favorite Nintendo game that was very obscure or something like that, like you can't just load it up on the NES Mini.
True.
Like that sucks. So anyway, that's the theory, but we don't really know for sure. Maybe Atari is coming back and like there's going to be a third console player in the console market now. Probably not. That's probably not what's going on. Who knows? Maybe it could be. But what this most likely is it's some sort of PC or PC based or whatever, you know, core that they've got in there. I feel like it's Atari. They could run it off of an old printer or something like that. I'm glad your half of the show is coming soon. Tired of talking. Anyway. Probably it's going to be, you know, some basic electronics in there running an emulator that allows you to load up and plug into a current, you know, HDMI connection and play retro Atari games. Most likely.
On your TV or whatever.
But who knows? Maybe it's something else. It's called Atari Box, though, and they've teased it, and now you guys are somewhat aware of it. Okay.
Sounds like fun.
Let's real quickly go over some donations, since quite a few have donated.
Donations.
I totally forgot to do a thing.
Oh my god, there's so many. Really?
Alright, we'll try to do it quick. I've completely lost. I I also forgot to do this, but Cell, I'm pretty sure you're watching right now. Cell, on Kyle's half of the show, if you could, I mean, you're always watching chat too. Find like a few random chat questions that are good questions that aren't donation comments and pull those out too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we do the donation comments, but it'd be cool to answer a few comments from people who maybe just don't have money to throw around, because I know a lot of people are in that situation. Anyway, though, Automatic Matt, $5 donation. Thank you for consistently donating so much. Hey guys, welcome back for another week. Have you decided if you're making a custom HTPC? Automatic Matt, I have not fully decided that yet. Actually, I need to go back and check my my straw pulls on that one. But I'm very excited to set that up, because I've been looking forward to reconfiguring that, but I'm still not 100% on how I'm going to set everything up.
Custom water cool it.
Yeah. Probably not going to custom water cool it, but maybe.
It makes perfect sense.
Tom's Bremsmith's 50 NOK, which was that Norwegian krona? Is that what that is?
Yeah, I think so.
We're getting into that. Once again, greetings from Norway. Yes, I was right. Here's something for beer and after Intel X299 bullcrap. Thank you, Toms.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Flippin' Fred, $5.
Get ready, Paul, on getting those beer glasses tonight. Cheers.
Okay.
Beautiful.
I got the beer glasses
JDP3 for the $10. Thank you all for the vids to both of you. They have taught me so much. Something that I would like to see a Vexor plasma RAM being used with Ryzen.
Oh.
Maybe what GPU works best with Ryzen 5 1500, 1500X.
One thing I'll say about the Vexor plasma RAM, it buzzes.
That's the stuff you used in your one silly video, right?
Yeah. There's a little buzz that it makes, which is annoying. I mean, if it's in enclosed somewhere, like, it's not very noticeable.
Is it the same stuff that I use, like the Raiden? Is this the Raiden that he's talking about, or is this something completely different?
This is the actual plasma, the Vexor. Yeah, you also Raiden. It's the plasma stuff.
The one that's in the Manta custom water cooled build that I did. Remember that?
I don't remember that enough.
It's right behind door number 1.
Oh God, you're going to get it?
No.
Oh, you just opened it. Yeah, that stuff.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah. You bumped the camera.
Not the camera.
Okay.
We're still in focus. All right. Okay, yeah, that stuff it does make sort of a weird.
It kind of makes a little buzzing noise.
Noise.
Just keep that in mind. Again, if it's enclosed, it's not that terrible. I know there was a new list of memory that was just for Ryzen that was just released that has a bunch of different memory kits that are compatible now, especially with the new AGISA. But I would be interested to potentially try the Vexor Plasma RAM. I'm not sure if the plasma stuff would interfere with the signal at all or make signaling any more difficult for running at higher frequencies. But thank you for your donation.
Yep.
The Reichenek, $5. Upgrade question. Currently an FX 6300 Fatality motherboard from Azeroth. I want a Ryzen 5. What would you suggest? Budget is $400-ish. 400 total? If it's 400 total, then yeah, I mean, I'd say aim for a 1600. That's kind of what you want, because you want more than 4 cores.
And you can overclock.
And you want to be able to overclock, and that's a good way to get in on it. Go for a B350 motherboard.
Yeah.
You don't need an X370, and you can save $20 to $50 by going that route. And then get your basic get your core components together. Focus on that for the with your $500, and then worry about stuff like upgrading your case. And
maybe
that
he
kind
means
of thing
400-ish for the CPU and motherboard, since
I hope so.
Those are probably the only 2 components he'd have to upgrade. He could work with everything else.
In which case, you should have plenty for those 2 components. Yeah. Thank you though. Adam Kirschbaum, $5 donation. Building a computer with a budget around $1,500. Should I go with a Ryzen 5 1600 or a Ryzen 7 1700? What point is the 1700 going to be overkill? I'd say for that much money, go for the 1700.
Yeah. Get them extra cores and threads.
Okay. Unless that's the difference between like a 1080 Ti and a 1080, I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, you get a couple more cores, and I'd want to go for the higher core count just because it's 8 cores, 16 thread.
You could squeeze a 1080 Ti in there.
Yeah.
Probably.
If you can squeeze in the 1080 Ti and the 1700, which I feel like you should be able to do for.
But here's the thing: if lowering his standards to a 1600 meant getting a GTX 1080 Ti, that would also introduce a bit more bottlenecking. Yeah. I feel like, unless he was gaming at a higher resolution, which I feel like he's either at 1080 or 1440. So I would just go for the faster CPU, and I feel like even if you get a 1070, you're in really good shape for a while.
Yeah.
1080 even better.
But you want the higher end ones because the 1070s are so overpriced right now.
That's true.
If you're in the U.S.
That's true.
Dak Mac, $5. No comment. Thank you, Dak Mac. Thank you very much. Adam Yeager, $5 donation. Paul Howard, attempts on your Noctua air cooler build. Tried it and found the fans pointing up increased my temps by 8C.
Is this your HTCP? Or HTTP?
My HTPC. Well, it's my capture system.
Oh,
I've only done basic testing, and temps were totally fine from what I tested, but I have not done overclocking or anything like that. Unfortunately, I can't test changing those two configurations with mine because I can't. I physically cannot do the vertical configuration. I had to go horizontal with it. So there it is. But yeah, I mean, my temps have been totally good so far, though. So yeah, there you go. Nice. Bits be tripping. $100
$100.
My God. My God. All right, Adam Yeager told me to chug. Wow, this is stout. I don't know if I can chug this. Let's get this started right. Drop us a follow on YouTube and let us help you build an awesome hardware mining rig with your extra cards. From Bits Be Trippin'.
Wow.
Ah, God.
Now you have to look into it. Now you at least have to look into it because he gave you $100. That's how it works.
Well.
Or you could just be like, no, screw you. I'll take the $100, but yeah, I don't need it. No,
I mean, again, I don't.
If we can find a way to make it work, Paul.
I don't have any trouble building a mining rig.
It's
running the mining rig somewhere where you don't have access to either solar or hydropower or something.
We'll set up a solar solution. We'll set it up.
Okay.
It'll be a great vlog series. It'll be a cross collaboration between you and I.
I'm also.
And we'll profit.
I mean, like so if I want to put a positive spin on this cryptocurrency thing, what I'm kind of hoping happens, at least from the standpoint of gamers, is that by the time Q4 rolls around and people are spending money on like, you know, Black Friday deals and that kind of thing, and because there's so many options for building systems, then there's just going to be a crap ton of used cards on the market that like drops prices for everything once the kind of bubble bursts or once ASICs are developed that can actually do that kind of mining or something like that. But all that said, I'll look into it. Obviously. Okay, so Bits Be Trippin', thank you for the $100 donation.
Hashtag ad.
Oh my God. Colton Spears, $10. My mining rig with 6 580s brings in a little over $1,000 a month and costs $100 to $150 in electricity.
Hey, that's not bad.
That's not bad at all. I'm wondering where you're located.
Yeah.
But that's pretty nice with 6 580s.
True.
That's a good stack of 580s.
All right, we'll buy a place in Arizona, and it'll just be a house full of GPUs.
Yeah.
Just mining day and night. All right, we'll work on it.
Andrew Jones, $5. In California, it would still be profitable till you hit 0.40 kilowatt hours. I don't know the rates, so you would have to do the math.
We don't know how to math.
I know that my rates are always high because I work from home and I work with computers, so I'm always going up to the higher tiers of pricing, which is always a challenge for me. So that's why, yeah, it'd be very much a challenge. Sebastian Casella, 20 ARS. I don't know what ARS is.
Argentinian?
Asgardia. Is that No, that'd be Argentina.
Asgardia.
Would we be available to use PayPal in Asgardia? Asgardia is free. You don't have to pay for Asgardia. I don't know what you're gonna have to pay once they create those floating platforms.
Asgardia is free, but if you were making transactions within Asgardia, if you're buying stuff on the Asgardian internet,
I don't know.
They're probably gonna have their own internet, right? There's probably gonna be a separate internet for Asgardia. And so they're going to have,
it's probably going to be, you know, a bunch of...
like the 1990s.
It's where all the rich people, like, right, in the future, like, living on Earth, actually on the planet is going to be shitty. Everything's going to suck. There's going to be really limited resources, and people are going to fight each other and all that kind of stuff. And then there's going to be Asgardia, these floating platforms up above.
Naked women everywhere.
There's a movie like this, right? You were talking,
Elysium.
Elysium is the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically going to be Elysium.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Humongous, £5 sterling. Yo, you did a good review on the Vertigear chair. Actually, that was Kyle.
Hey!
Yeah, how'd you get 150,000 views on a chair video?
I don't know.
My God.
It's the best performing chair video ever.
Well done, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Can you do one on a Herman Miller chair and compare them? Because the Herman Miller chairs, I think, are $1,000 or something like that.
Chairs are not something I ever seek out myself.
Those are supposed to be the pinnacle of chairs, though, the Herman Millers.
So I've heard.
P.S. Cider is better, and it's Uranus.
Uranus?
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 But that's just not as fun.
It's nowhere near as fun.
But thank you, Humongous.
Leon Korsav, $10. Last week, I was mean, sexually aggressive to Kyle. I meant it. Fuck you, Kyle. Love you, Paul. Wiki face. Thank you, Leon.
Thank you, Leon. You're my favorite.
I'm glad you cleared that up,
I
too.
appreciate your honesty.
Coda! I'm hiccuping.
Coda!
$10. Haven't caught you guys for a while. Cheers. Hey, cheers to you as well.
Coda!
You keep saying cheers.
Automatic Matt, $5 again. Jesus,
$5
Automatic
more
Matt, do you ever quit? Just checked Newegg and only found the HyperCloud X as a gift with Gigabyte. Huh.
Maybe
it
check
hasn't taken it.
check the Hexus article that's linked in the description, because it says
Could be UK only.
for qualifying buyers, and I think it's only with Aorus boards. So I think there's a couple non-Aorus Gigabyte boards, so those might
Even
not,
so, though,
yeah.
I'd probably take a HyperCloud X over all that stuff
Oh yeah,
any
Cloud
day.
X
Those are great headsets.
is a nice option. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Stephen Lewis, $5.
Steven.
EVGA makes a GTX 1060 for the win Plus. I noticed that they also have another version called EVGA GTX 1060 for the win Plus DT. Do you know what the DT means?
No.
No. I honestly have no idea.
Double
Trouble.
trouble.
Down to, and then you'll never know what it's down to do.
I'm not sure.
DT.
If you're on Twitter, tweet to EVGA Jacob.
Yeah, ask that guy.
EVGA Jacob F, and maybe he can tell you. I'm sure there's something. Yeah, the DT Gaming. What's the deal there?
DT.
D.
What? Why have I never heard of this?
don't-
And it even has it on the box and
8
everything.
pin? I'm confused.
Damn, trippy. Dang, that's...
Double ball bearings. Is it the fan?
Detuned. People are saying detuned.
Detuned? That's okay.
So what does that mean?
I don't know. Detuned. It's like you have a guitar and you detune it. Now it's out of tune. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not. Detune sounds somewhat reasonable. I mean, EVGA's makes things. All right.
It's a little bit more expensive than the...
Let's move on though.
non-detune.
I'm sorry we couldn't answer that for you, but maybe Jacob can.
You stumped us.
El Jefe Reviews, $5 a donation. Hey guys, big fan from San Francisco Bay Area.
Hey!
Any advice for a noob YouTuber trying to grow my channel? Do it because you love it. Don't do it because you want lots of people to watch you.
Yeah.
Do it because you've got the passion.
You gotta have it in you. You gotta be
yeah.
made of the stuff, man.
Beyond that, I would say look for collaborations. Find people who are around your channel size, and there'll always be lots of them, whether you've got 1,000 followers, or whether you're at 10,000, or whether you're at 50,000. Find anyone who's kind of in that range. Collaborate with them. Make sure they do legitimate content. Reach out to them and say, hey, let's do a collaborative giveaway or a video where we each go in and talk about something, because getting your face onto other people's videos, even if you're all sort of relatively smaller when it comes to the grand scheme of things, is a great way of boosting your exposure.
Indeed.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Kayla
Okay.
Parker, $10. You guys helped me build a PC for the first time with your videos while
Nice.
being thoroughly entertained.
Okay.
Appreciate your personalities and approach. Have a brewski on me.
We will.
Thanks, Caleb.
We will, Caleb.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Sean Accord for the $5. $5 to
Thank
Paul
you, Sean.
because Kyle is fat shaming me by not carrying 2X Flash BIOS and CPU cooler shirts.
Oh.
I am so sorry, Sean. I did not
Are you out
mean
of those?
to fat shame you in that indirect way.
Is John still on vacation?
He just came back.
Oh, he's back.
Our t-shirt guy is back.
Okay, cool.
He will be restocking those very shortly.
Yeah.
Actually, I think they're on the printer right now.
Gotta get
so
the big sizes up there.
I'm free of shit.
All right.
fat
Wow,
shaming
we're
for
going
now.
so late. Fred Rant, $50
Fred!
Fred, thank you. Which motherboard brand do you think is the best? Asus, MSI, or EVGA? Added some extra since I missed you guys in the whatever.
Are we allowed to answer
Your
that?
click is missed you last week. All right.
Sorry. I like Asus.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, there's some sentimental value to Asus for me because
Yeah.
it was my first motherboard ever. Back in 2012 when I built my first ever, it was a Sandy Bridge system. Actually I have the board somewhere up there somewhere. Anyway, it was an Asus board, and I really just have had really good experiences with Asus boards in the past, especially their BIOS. I feel like when I'm in the UEFI, I feel like it's a really stable BIOS. It doesn't have any weird sort of issues that I've experienced on competitor boards. I don't know if you can say the same thing, but Asus has always seemed very reliable to me. over the last six years or so.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the sizes of the companies, Asus is the biggest. Asus and Gigabyte have kind of gone back and forth when it comes to market share. Gigabyte did have more motherboards shipped than Asus, I think, a year or two ago, but they've kind of gone back and forth. I feel like Asus has the most developers that put more man hours into the development of their motherboards, and I really love the ROG series because I feel like they have done a lot of innovation and like crazy stuff on that platform.
It seems to trickle down to the competitors, really,
and which trickles down to other Asus boards and also over to competitors, because you'll find lots of stuff that Asus did first that other more motherboard manufacturers will pick up. All that said, you can get a very high quality, fine, functional, working motherboard from any of those manufacturers. I mean, Asus, Gigabyte, and MSI are typically at the top. EVGA you might add in, specifically on the Intel side. They don't do AMD stuff. And then probably ASRock is up there as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if Asus has a downfall, in my experience, it's motherboards where there's just too much stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like the higher end motherboards, sometimes I've had situations where I'm like, there's too many things on this motherboard.
More points of failure.
And it's causing conflicts or something like that. But yeah, I probably have to agree with Kyle. And overall, we typically go with Asus.
Yeah.
But again, we have friends at other manufacturers as well. This is my Google. $5 a donation. I don't know what A's are. What PC hardware trends changes do you think we'll see between now and the first half of 2018? DDR5, more HBM, the death of RGB. That is a big question that we do not have time to fully answer right now. But I think if you go back in this video, we did talk about certain stuff like that. GDDR5X and GDDR6 are right on the horizon.
And HBM2.
DDR5 I don't see coming at any time in the near future, but hopefully in the next year and a half to 2 years we'll probably see. And HBM2 potentially. Death of RGB is not going to happen.
No, sorry.
Dylan Spires, thank you for the $10 donation. Thanks both for all the great content. How viable is the 6800K 1080 Ti build for content creation, editing, and gaming?
Very, very good.
Found a 6800K for $300 or should I lean toward Ryzen for productivity? If you can get a good deal on a 6800K, I would say go for it.
Yeah.
That's a great option, especially if you're combining it with a 1080 Ti. You should get a little bit better gaming performance thanks to the slightly better IPC performance with the 6800K compared to the Ryzen CPUs. Luis Herrera, $5.69. That's very specific. What did you think of the Corsair Air 740?
I never worked with it. You did a build with it, right?
Yeah, I did a build with it. Perfectly adequate case, plenty of room, lots of space to work with, wide footprint. It's larger.
Aesthetic is love or hate, I think.
Yeah.
But I feel like it looks a lot better in person. I was like, when I saw your video of it, I was like, that's weird. I don't know how I feel about that. And then when I went to your garage, when I went to your place and saw it in person, I was like, that looks pretty sick, actually. I don't know. That was just me, but I feel like you have to be there to really appreciate it.
Yeah, I liked it.
It's different. I like it.
It lacks the tempered glass that some of the cases from this year have, but if you're looking for a wider case like that and you want lots of room, it's certainly a very, very nice case. Also, the fans that ship with it are very quiet too, which is nice. Bevan Johnson, $10 a donation again. I think that's Australian, perhaps. How hot do LED strips get? I'm looking to get them on a lightsaber toy to light up my PC. Bevan, I would not be concerned about LED heat unless they're directly up against something that you're concerned about getting too hot.
Like your balls.
Yeah. But by and large, LEDs, I mean, they're hot if you touch them, but anything that's further than like a centimeter away, it's not going to affect too badly. So don't be too concerned with that. Go for it and customize your PC. Rob Cribb, $2 donation. Taxation is theft. Couldn't agree more. Des Jones, $5 donation. 1 month and a half before the Ripper is released. The hype is real. I'm excited.
Me too.
Rob Cribb, $20, I believe, again, Australian donation. Also saying that taxation is theft again.
As a reminder.
Rob, you're doing the Lord's work. I couldn't agree.
You might need to remind us one more time.
Okay. iManny99, $5 donation. Hi guys, any points going from a 4790K to 6600K for gaming and streaming? I have a GTX 1080 Ti and run triple monitors.
No, not really.
Not 4790 to 6600.
No, that's a GPU thing. Upgrade your graphics card if you're going to run triples. Your CPU will only do it's not going to be worth it. I feel like you're going to scale a lot better if you upgrade to like a GTX 1080 Ti or maybe even two of them.
Yeah.
Upgrading your CPU will only probably net you no more than a 5% gain in FPS, to be honest.
Yeah, I would drop in another 1080 or 980 Ti before I upgraded that. Keep your eye on higher core count options in the next year and a half, and then that's what you should look to upgrade. Pup Shepherd, $5 donation. What time do you stop taking Pimp My PC after you tweet? I sent one. Pimp my NAS. Also, I'm up to 283 subs now.
Nice.
Thank you, Pup.
It really depends.
When Pup refers to subs, anyway, sorry, what were we saying? What? Shut up.
It's just so clean.
We're segueing.
All right, so it really depends. It depends on how prepared I am for the show.
Half an hour.
If I'm not prepared at all, then I'll be taking submissions up until 5:29 p.m. But if I'm like feeling good and I like prepare in the morning and shit, have my shit on lock, then you probably have a half-hour window after the time I send the tweet. But if you didn't make it on today or this week, then try again next week.
Oh my God, these
Thanks,
go on
Pup.
forever. Thank you, Pup.
My goodness.
All right, Fred Rant, $51 donation. No one beats me. Here's another $51 to make the total $101.
Heyo.
Fred, you win.
You win.
You
the
are the
internet.
winner, and I'm sure no one else will win more than you.
Just go on a rant with donations.
The Rychenek, another $5 donation. 200 characters sucks. Need info on specific 350 and RAM for the 1600. Unless DDR3 RAM will work with my Ryzen motherboard. DDR3 will not work. You need DDR4, and you need DDR4 that works with Ryzen. And again, there was a list that was released either today or yesterday.
RAM
an
compatibility.
updated RAM compatibility list, and I don't immediately know where to get it, but AMD or AMD Ryzen on Twitter or Thrax, Robert Halleck, would probably also be posting about that, and you can find that RAM list. But use that RAM list to make sure you get RAM that's validated to run at a higher frequency. If you can get stuff that runs at 2933 at 30 or 3200, a solid kit of say 16 gigs, go for that. I would also say try to stick with 2 sticks if you can, because you have a better chance of getting higher frequency. So like 2x8 for 16 gigs,
as opposed to 4x4.
As opposed to 4x4.
Yeah,
is a better option there.
Scott Dilbeck, $6.66.
Scott.
Super Metal, rate my build, i7 7700K, Strix Z270 Crossfire RX 480 Strix, 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD probably, 4 terabyte mechanical, Scout 2 case, H80i cooler. Thanks, guys. I think that's a pretty solid rig.
Looks very solid. I'd say
Scaling on
your graphics card is probably the place where you could use an upgrade. The 7700K can easily push something way higher end than that. You're probably doing just fine with your RX 480, especially if you're.
Well, it is Crossfire.
Oh, it's Crossfire.
Yeah.
Oh,
so he's got 2 of them.
All right. Well, you got 2 of them.
Which the RX 480, if you're gonna do SLI or Crossfire, I feel like the RX 480 scales pretty well.
That's a good bang for the buck.
Probably not in every game. So as soon as you feel like more of the games that you're playing are starting to not support Crossfire as much as you'd like them to, then maybe consider just opting for a single faster GPU. Maybe Vega.
Yeah.
When it comes out.
Yeah, drop a couple Vegas in there when that launches. That'd be sweet.
Deuce the Vegas.
Coda, $5. The DT cards do not pass the same level of testing as the normal For the Win cards. Ship at a lower frequency, but still have the other extra For the Win features.
Hey, that's
Thank
cool.
you, Coda.
That's very useful information.
That is very useful. Bronzy for the win, $5. Hey guys, have an i7 4790K. Was thinking about it getting X299. Should I do it or wait till Coffee Lake? Don't want to do AMD. If you don't want to do AMD and you know you don't want AMD, then go for X299. The only thing I think Coffee Lake might provide is a 6-core that's kind of on the same level as the 7700K right now. 7700K right now or the 7740K on the X299 are still going to be your peak
X
game. 7740X is still going to be your peak gaming performance right now. Like right now.
Yep.
I foresee potentially Coffee Lake giving you a mainstream 6-core option that also has the same or better instructions per clock and frequency performance as the 7700K. So that might be the potential for waiting. All that said, if you do other stuff, if you do anything besides gaming, and again, you're absolutely sure you're not interested in the AMD stuff, then yes, X299 is where you want to be. Is a 1K PCU worth it? Also, is a 1K power supply worth it? Probably not. I'm guessing you mean 1,000 watts. That's usually a little bit overkill. Most Even high-end PCs can get away with like 850 watts. All that said, I mean, if it's a good deal, then go for it. Chunky Tie, $2 donation.
Chunky
Got a
Tie!
Gigabyte 1080 Wind Force for $430 recently, brand new. That is a really good deal.
Yeah.
Good job, Chunky Tie. Scott Dilbeck, $2. Second comment. You guys won Scrapyard Wars.
Duh.
You know, we're leaving that up to the
Everyone
folks
and
at
their
home to
mom
decide.
knows that.
And everyone knows that. Rob Cribb, $10 Australian donation. Taxation is theft. One more time, just for Kyle. Love your work, irrespective of your feelings on institutionalized theft. That's fine. I mean, taxes suck. Everyone hates taxes.
I see money I like.
Des Jones, $2 donation. Have you seen the ridiculous prices on X299 motherboards? They don't seem ridiculous to me because they're the same as the prices on all of the high-end Intel stuff for the past 2 or 3 launch cycles.
We kind of expected these high prices.
Yeah, 250 is kind of your starting point for pricing right out of the gate, and then you'll probably see motherboards in the $200 range relatively soon. It won't be till 2 years after X299 launches that you'll see anything below that, or at least too far below that. Scott Dilbeck, thank you for your other $2 donation. Mark Hedman, thank you for your $5 donation. Non-paid questions. Oh, all right. These are other... Damn it, Sel, you're really too far on top of that. All right. My side of the show has gone way too long already, so we need to cut this off. We're going to be continuing with Kyle's half of the show in just a minute. Thank you guys all for sticking with us. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video. Links to everything we talked about
We'll be
today
right
is in the
back. We'll
description.
be right back.
We'll be right back.
If you're watching on YouTube right now live, go ahead and click the link in Paul's description. That'll
Yeah.
take you to my half of the show, which will start momentarily.